No. Oh, there it is. So that thing is so touchy, man. That's so annoying.
Wow.
All right. Well, I guess we're restarting this episode.
After this, we're gonna wire this route in and get it out of the way.
let's do that. Okay.
So let's just restart.
I'm gonna stop the recording, restart the recording. That way, we'll just throw away the other one. It's like 5 minutes. No, we don't.
So the only thing is YouTube.
It's just the stream is gonna be a little weird, but that's okay.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, technical difficulties apparently. Well,
all right.
Round number 2. We just did like 5 minutes of the podcast. Wow, we were so excited too.
That's okay. I'm still excited.
Me too.
Hey, Epic Gamer, I really appreciate the heads up, man.
Oh, it's Poopy. Remember?
Oh, Poopy, what is up, dude? So yeah, what's up, Snakes? I really appreciate that. We went through a lot of stuff in there in the intro, so unfortunately we're gonna have to just do it again. Let's start back from the top, dude. Let's get the plugs.
All right, cool.
And just,
All right, so this is episode 34, so welcome for everyone that's joining us.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. We're doing a new format today.
Yes.
We are having segments on the podcast. We have specific segments, and then we're going to do different topics for them every week, obviously, or every episode.
Yeah. And I said, you guys didn't hear me, but I'm pretty excited about that.
Right. And then I went to the plugs. Okay. So yes. So check us out on Apple and Spotify. Yeah. Sorry. I'm like all messed up now. All right. Follow us on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and then get our updates on Instagram and Twitter. Right. And we have a new Discord channel.
Oh yeah.
Exclusively for our Twitch followers.
OnlyFans, as I was saying. This is the OnlyFans page, so yeah, fresh dick pics.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Don't want to get you guys excited to see Danny's cock.
Just mine.
Yeah, mine's crook-ended. Yeah. You don't want to see mine.
I don't know. We seem to be getting like the most traction like for organic followers on Twitch, and Twitch has a lot of interactivity kind of things you can do on there.
I love Twitch, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to see if we can get a little bit of some traction on there. But we're not going to neglect the other platforms. We're just doing this for Twitch right now.
Yeah. So let's see, what else was it? Oh, let's talk about the game implementation we're going to start doing. So we're going to have some little interactive games we're going to start doing. Today's pretty basic, but basically what we're going to do is come up with a point system, and basically different games we have, you can acquire points and accumulate these points, and at the end of these point thresholds, we're going to give away a merch bundle. We only have the shirts right now, but hopefully by that time, someone hits that threshold, we'll have a little package, a little bundle put together. So something to look forward to, and something just to kind of help get interactive and kind of spice it up, like I was saying, just so it doesn't turn into a boring sex life, like I was saying before as well. Yeah. So we're spicing it up. We're keeping it real, or we're keeping you on your toes. And today's game is gonna Count the Fucks.
Fuck yeah.
And yeah, exactly. What you want to do is pay attention to how many times Danny says fuck. All right, you're counting the F-bombs in this one episode, and it's important. I would say this is one of the most important ones because we're not going to actually do the point tally system for the game we're doing as high as we are today. We're just kind of starting this out, hit the ground running. Yeah. And so today's point system is actually going to accumulate to 1,000 points. If you could actually guess how many times Danny drops the F-bomb, or not guess, if you guess the correct amount and tally the right amount, and give us the answer, you will get 1,000 points, and then first one to 10,000 is going to hit that threshold and get the package bundle. So pay attention to that. We'll do other cool little games like that to kind of keep you guys on your toes and keep things a little more spiced up. So real excited about those little things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
I like that.
And we got some more ideas. We're not going to.
And that might have been Poopy's idea, actually. I think I can't remember if it was, but if it was or wasn't, thanks anyway, man. I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah, we had a couple suggestions, 2 or 3 suggestions from the last podcast, and so
yeah, we're gonna start implementing. I mean, that's what it's about. Like, I don't know how many podcasts. I was just talking to Danny about this. I don't know how many podcasts take a lot of suggestions from their viewers. I really want to do that approach because you guys are the people who, you're the backbone of it, really.
Yeah.
And so
that actually reminds me, I'm gonna put a suggestion box on our Twitch. I don't know if there is an equivalent on that on our other platforms, but I'll look into it. But for sure, I can put one on the Twitch. So if you have any suggestions when we're not live, you can submit them. You can message them to us, but you can also just do it. We'll put a suggestion box on our Twitch. It's just like a little widget, basically, on the Twitch page.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get all your messages, all your suggestions, anything you want to tell us, any ideas you have. We appreciate that a great deal.
Or even like feedback, like, yeah, you could do this better, or try to do it this way instead, or whatever.
Dude, Snakes, if you really want to see me dance with my hair down, you missed out, bro. Me and my daughter, we were doing some choreography to NSYNC the other day.
Were you?
The only thing that didn't happen is my hair wasn't down. You know, bye.
Okay.
we're out there doing the, you know. It was so hilarious. Kids Bop, right?
That's funny.
Oh, it's great stuff, man. So yeah, next time we'll record that just for you, Snakes. And that's going to be on OnlyFans. But yeah, we got some, like Danny said, we got some segments we're going to start doing now. I'm pretty sure you talked about that already, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm real excited about that. We're going to start allocating a certain amount of time to these topics and kind of keep a format going. And so we're going to give it a shot and see how this works. And the other thing is,
that reminds me.
when it comes to the point tally system, we're going to give you a week to give us the answer of these games that we're going to be doing. And on to that note, next week we're also going to have a guest. And I was saying before we got the heads up that our audio. There we go. It's tough to put those two words together. Our audio. Okay. We just got the word our audio wasn't working, so. But basically, we're going to have a guest on here. He's a good friend of ours. We haven't seen him in a while. I'm really interested to talk to him because he's got some experiences that he went through in the past year, and I haven't seen him in over a year, I think. So, super good dude. He might even sing a little ditty for us, and so I'm real stoked on that, to have him show up, and so we can catch up also and just provide his insight and have him just give his life experience, So stay tuned for that next Wednesday.
I'm excited for that.
I'm super excited for that. Yeah.
Cool. I'm actually going to set a timer on here.
Good job.
For our segments.
Yeah, because we didn't buy one yet.
Yeah, so we can use one of these for now. I don't know what that sucks. Which one are we going to use?
By the way, I got the Rona today.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's been one of those.
Here we go.
All right.
It's the end of our segment. Okay.
I like that little jingle. Let us know if there's audio drops off again, guys. I really appreciate that. Apparently there's a small disconnection going on here, and so we're gonna outsmart it and start wiring stuff out of our way.
Yeah.
Get a little smarter about this.
Definitely. I can't believe that happened. Yeah, we went for like 5 minutes. So.
I think we're back to where we started now, finally.
Yeah, we didn't start until like 7:15 at this point, so we can go till 9:15 if we're like running out of time for these segments and shit. So
I'm totally down.
So
okay, so what do we got first? So we went through the plugs, the Discord. You talked about Discord already, right?
Yep.
All right. Okay, all right. So the first segment that we got, we're calling it the contagious convo. There we go. Contagious Combo. Today's topic for the Contagious Combo is here in the Pacific Northwest, we got wildfires going on right now. And not just the Pacific Northwest. It's actually happening in California and a few other places as well. But it's a little close to home now because we're right in it. I mean, there's smoke all over the place outside right now. And so yesterday I fought traffic on 167 coming south because as I was passing Mount Rainier, or the view of Mount Rainier, you could just see the smoke billowing through the trees, and it was thick. The traffic was backed up because people were just gawking at it and looking at it.
Isn't that ridiculous how that always happens?
Yeah. Not just to compound the issues, all right? Everybody's trying to get home. They don't want to breathe the smoke in. Everybody's just slowing down to look at it. I get it, but can we just keep going 60 to look at it? I don't understand that. I mean, it's going like 30 miles an hour.
Doesn't that suck when there's like a crash on the other side of the freeway and everyone slows down and it's like there's a median here. There's no reason for us to be slowed down at all. Oh,
it's so frustrating, especially at the end of the day and it's hot. Yeah, you just want to get home. It's like, I'm surrounded by a bunch of idiots right now who can't drive. Okay, so Jim was helping us out here. He said Nevada and New Mexico is also getting it hit hard. I imagine all them hot areas are probably getting it way worse than we are.
Yeah, it's definitely smoky. It's more smoky also in Eastern Washington because a lot of the smoke over here is getting blown over from Eastern Washington right now.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys are having it worse over there, but we've been having like pristine air over here for the entire summer. So
Until now, it's really bad now. Like my lips are chapped, and like I could feel my lungs. Like it's hard to breathe a little bit.
yeah, it's like you've been working outside.
I was outside all day in the relentless sun. So I'm just a heads up. I'm pretty mentally and physically exhausted, actually. And yesterday it was
Worse?
No, today was worse because
Today was worse?
I was working out in the sun. Yeah, yesterday was more of mental,
Just irritation.
Oh yeah, 5 hours of driving, things not going well, just.
Yeah,
And so
just wasn't your day.
it was not my day. It was horrible. So, but yeah, the wildfires is crazy. Like all day on the job site, I'm just seeing helicopters, fly by, and they're taking water and stuff.
Yeah, it's for me. It's just as bad as if it was pouring out rain right now because I'm stuck inside the house. You can't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sucks because it's like it should be a nice day. I wanted to. Me and Heather, we just got our protective, like our helmets and shit and all that shit yesterday, and it was the first day that it was all smoky. I was like, son of a bitch, dude! Like, what are the fucking odds?
I mean, you can still do it.
I could.
Another thing is wearing a mask. I mean, it's funny because the mask is actually gonna help, I guess, now for the smoke, maybe.
No, you have to get like the N95 mask because those are.
Okay, so a good mask.
Yeah, the good mask will do because those ones are going to filter out the particles in the air, which is what's the bad part.
Yeah, but as you guys know, I really feel bad for the guys that or women or anybody that has to wear masks while they're working outside in the sun.
Yeah.
Because even when I gotta put it up on just a little bit walking from my truck to the store, I don't even do that. But when I put it on, I notice I'm like, why am I putting this on? It's way too hot for that.
Yeah.
Like I put it on right when I walk in the store.
Yeah, I went to the skate park and rode around with a mask on, and that was like.
It's hot.
That was hot.
Just breathing, it makes your face hot.
That was that was without the smoke. I'm not doing that with the smoke. It's gonna be 10 times worse, so.
Yeah, I thought it would be, I'm like, oh wait, the masks are actually gonna help, but
I think the masks actually will make it worse.
Really?
Theoretically, because you'll probably breathe a little bit harder to get more oxygen, and you'll probably be breathing more of the particles in because it's not gonna stop those little tiny particles, so.
Yeah.
In theory.
Unless you got a great mask that does the job, yeah, it's like pick your poison at that.
But you're gonna want an N95 mask if you're worried about the wildfire smoke.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jim says the fire here is over 60% contained, no live flames. Okay, so it's just smoldering right now. And then Poopy says I couldn't go outside yesterday because there's too much smoke. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. You guys probably got, where are you at again, Poopy? Where are you located in the U.S., if you're in the U.S.?
I don't even remember if we asked him last time.
Because I'm wondering how much smoke he's got. And then Jim says a big fire in Okanagan. Where is that? Is that south? Or am I thinking of Alaska? I'm thinking on Alaska.
Okay, for some reason it sounds like it's in California.
Oh, okay.
Or not California, I mean Oregon. For some reason I'm thinking it's in Oregon. It's probably not, but for some reason that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Jim says any mask is better than nothing. He's saying it's better, but yeah, N95 is better.
Probably. I almost went out today and braved it, but I was like, no, I want to fucking play video games. Fuck it. But it's kind of disappointing for me. I mean, it's disappointing for everyone because you know what I mean. But just like I just want to exercise now. Like I can't even go outside and fucking exercise. Like Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pain in the butt. I almost want to, I want to go outside too and just kind of go on a walk or something and just kind of, or just when I'm outside working, it's just like, it's funny because you don't notice it. You're just breathing it in. And then when you like stop, you're like, something feels off. It's like I'm having a hard time breathing. It's like thick.
I didn't even realize it had started because me and Heather were like sitting in the room. She woke up, she's like, fucking allergies and sinuses are all fucked up. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because of the fire. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you don't smell that? And I was thinking in my head, like, I could kind of smell it, but I just assumed, like, someone was out in the distance, like, having a campfire or something, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize it was a wildfire smell kind of thing going on. I thought it was, like, a temporary, like, someone was having a fire tonight, like, whatever.
Yeah, no, I seen it. And actually, it's odd because when I was driving on 167 and I seen all the smoke, it's going this direction. It was going towards Yelm and all that, the way I was driving.
Right.
So as I was passing, it was kind of like I got in it and then it was going my direction and I'm kind of like crept up.
Going through it.
Yeah. And so it came right here, and then in the morning I noticed it immediately. I was like, oh, it has arrived. Because at night it's just got a little colder, and I bet that smoke just stayed low and just kept going.
Yeah, I think the smoke is a little bit better at night because it's cold, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
It was moving though. You can just see the wind. Oh, and the wind.
Yeah.
Not to mention the wind. That was insane yesterday.
That's why we have all the smoke here, is because the wind's blowing.
It's just helping the smoke.
The winds are blowing from the east, so eastern washing west, and it's dry right now. It's really dry.
Yeah.
But I guess by this weekend it's supposed to cool down, and then by next weekend we might get a little bit of rain. Early week, or not next weekend, next week, early, like Monday or Tuesday, we might get rain. But we're supposed to get the breeze coming from off the ocean, like we usually do. So
that would be nice.
I think it might get kind of back to normal here by next week. So hopefully, because this is my least favorite part of summer. It's been a few years since we had this, because it's like, it was for like 3 years in a row or something. We just had like smoky for like 2-3 weeks every summer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's every year. I mean,
it wasn't last year, was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember last year.
I'm pretty certain we had it last year. It's been the last 3 years as far as I remember. I don't know if it's been this
well, you go out.
Big.
Okay.
But I do remember, I feel like last year for sure, I drove, right? I mean, there was a time, and I think it was last year, where I was driving through Puyallup, and I was driving right next to the fire. The whole median was flaming. I could feel the heat as I was driving by it, because everybody's going slow and backed up, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah. And it was like that for miles. And yeah, and then as I drove by, some days later, it was just all black, But I swear it's happened the last few years, and apparently, God, even talking about it right now, it's making me my throat. You know what I mean? I feel it in my throat.
I know. I had to like stop thinking about it earlier. I was like sitting there. I was like, because I was thinking about going skating when Heather got here, and then I was like looking up. I was like, what? Because you can look up the air quality index, so it'll tell you like actually how bad it is for you. You know what I mean? And it was at like 75, so 0 to 50 is considered healthy.
Yeah.
And like 50 to 100 is considered kind of bad.
Yeah.
And then anything above 100 is like, that's bad. But it was like, you probably shouldn't go exercise outside if you can avoid it. So, I'm like, all right,
you're
fine.
Breathing twice as hard.
But then my throat started feeling all scratchy too. Thinking, I'm like, all right, I gotta stop breathing this. And that's why I went and started playing music downstairs. I was like, let's go downstairs, because I was sitting. That room is the hottest room in the fucking house. My room.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to go downstairs, and so I went downstairs, and I was like, oh, the piano's here. I'll play the piano. Okay, so anyways, we'll go to what people are saying about this.
So Lake Chelan is where that's at. Okay.
Wenatchee area.
Okay, and Poopy's from California. Okay, you're definitely getting it there. I know it's pretty heavy.
God, I want to move to California, but it's the fucking fires are gonna be terrible.
Well, you gotta live in more of a green area like Modesto or something, Northern California maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Does it get? I feel like it gets worse in those places because there's more stuff to burn.
When it actually burns, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, we have an entire forest here.
God, I don't know. I feel like I don't know why it just feels more comforting when you're in that environment rather than just. Could you imagine being in Barstow right now with this happening?
Oh god,
there's nowhere to go. You're just. I don't know. It feels like the trees provide a little comfort, even though it's all
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to move to LA. I don't know how bad the fires are. LA is kind of like green, but right by the desert, right? So it's like it's off the ocean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like trapped between it. Let's see. Poopy was saying my house is in the middle of the fires.
Is this supposed to be like first 48? I don't know. He said there was a typo.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the typo was, but yeah, you're.
They called for evacuation in Enumclaw. His niece said, yeah, 410, Highway 410 going up to Bonnie Lake and Buckley that goes to Enumclaw, I guess was just, it was closed, I think. Or it was way backed up or something because that's where the fire's coming from, that direction. So, let's see. Jim says, I also heard a town in Oregon burned to the ground. Can you imagine that?
Dude,
could you imagine that shit?
Worst year ever. What is happening?
Yeah, could you imagine just like having to evacuate your fucking house, man? Like I have real empathy.
What do you do for an entire town that's all of a sudden homeless? Like what the fuck?
Man, I don't even know how much rallying you could do to make that better. You know what I mean?
Like what do you house? Thousands of homeless people.
Jeez, I mean, just yeah. I couldn't imagine. Yeah, I feel sorry for that for those people. It's
sad.
It is sad, man. And it goes to, here's another topic. When things like this happen, what's a tornado? It's an earthquake. It's a wildfire, volcano, whatever. It really just shines light on how puny and how quickly we can just get eradicated off this planet. If Mother Nature didn't want us here, we'd be gone like that.
Yeah.
Like, we have no control over.
Yeah.
In that regard, we have no control over our life.
Yeah.
Mother Nature controls a lot.
Yeah, we have a little bit of control though. It brings on to what I want to talk about because it goes to with this global warming.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually going to kind of go into that. I got sidetracked.
Yeah.
A lot of people are definitely contributing, saying that this is contributed to or correlated to climate change because it's getting worse and worse every year.
Yeah.
Record is getting broken every year.
Every single year. Yeah, I was talking to Heather about this. I was like, she's like, yeah, this sucks. I'm like, this never used to happen. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, this never used to happen. Like, I was like, this only started happening like 5-6 years ago. Like before that, it was like, you know, every once in a while there'd be like one random fire, but it wasn't like the entire fucking West Coast was on fire.
Towns were getting burned down,
yeah.
And evacuations weren't the whole West Coast.
It wasn't like the whole state was fucking in smoke.
I like to know what you guys would think, because I understand there's a lot of people that don't agree with climate change, and so this is a great conversation to have with people that have differences. And so give us your thoughts. Let us know if you think any of these wildfires are related to climate change or a direct result of climate change or global warming, because I think it is.
I'm just going to point blank say if you think climate change isn't real, you're a fucking idiot. Okay? That's all there is.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It's not really. It's not a bold statement. It's fucking true. It's just the truth. It's fucking stupid. It's very obvious. All you have to do is look at the numbers, the temperatures, what's going on in this world. Now, you can debate whether humans are doing the vast majority of the global warming, but you can't debate that the planet is getting hotter. So,
yeah. I'm not that harsh. I'm pretty harsh about a lot of things, but I actually don't. It's kind of like veganism. I don't really, put that on people. I just chalk it up to is a lot of people are highly misinformed.
Yeah.
They're not looking into enough information. And so I actually have compassion for them a little more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, you're just misinformed. Then if you're just hard-headed and you just refuse to look into the thing, like for whatever, you're just like set in your ways, like this is it. And I appreciate conviction. I appreciate there's a difference between being set in your ways and convicted in what you believe. You can be convicted in what you believe and still have the conversation and entertain the ideas and conversations of like, okay, I want to understand where you're coming from, where you're getting your info from, and how can I also look into the info and validate whether or not it's something I believe at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the only reason I'm being so harsh is because, like the scientists, they say if the numbers keep going the way they're going, we only have to like 2030 to 2050 or some shit like that before we can't do anything about it and we're fucked. So,
yeah, I agree. I also...
So, like, the time to be like, oh, you know what, you're entitled to your opinion is kind of over. Like, stop being an idiot. I mean, it's not really... There's not, like, much we can do as individuals, but, like, as a community, we can, we can try to get...
Here's my thing.
As a civilization...
Here's my belief about this, and I'm going to also relate it to veganism or anything because it's a great example. I use this all the time. If there's even a slight chance that what we're talking about is true, there's just a fucking slight chance. Wouldn't you want to look into it a little bit? It's your planet. It's your world. I mean, we have a commonality that is this planet. And so whether there's just a small indication that global warming exists and climate change exists, at least look into it. Don't just disregard it and be like, okay, yeah, I don't believe in that shit.
Plus, all the people that are like, I don't believe in that shit, are you just that lazy? Like, how hard is it to like recycle and want to have like cleaner policies and stuff? Like, hey, let's stop polluting the earth. Like, who the fuck is denying that that's a bad idea? Like, it's a good idea, so like, why are you so against doing those things anyway?
Yeah, I mean, because we're getting into something else, but it's okay. It is related because it puts a person in accountability. You have to take accountability. You have to be responsible.
Mm.
And the majority of people, they don't want that shit. They just don't want it. They don't want. It's a responsibility and it's hard work. Being accountable and being responsible is hard work, and a lot of us are just fucking lazy. I mean, point blank.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to dive into the hard work unless it benefits them. If it doesn't benefit them, they don't want nothing to do with it. Thus, our planet is just being fucking destroyed. Filth. I mean, humans are fucking filth. Quote me. Humans are filth. We should pay more attention to how we contribute, and that goes back to the other episode I was talking about. Are you a contributor or are you a consumer? You should contribute a little bit more, and in order to contribute, you should start by educating yourself a little bit more as well. But it's a slippery slope of conversation. It's really not, though. All it takes is like look into the information, see if you believe, look at the facts, see if it's something that might interest you, if the facts are even closely true, even minutely.
What we need to be doing is holding countries accountable, because really as individuals we can't do much, but we should be holding our governments accountable because they're the ones that are doing the most pollution.
I got an answer for you on this. So no, but also yes. More no, you're actually, because I think it always comes back to the consumer. There is no market for these industries without consumers, like the meat industry.
Right.
All that shit would stop if we stopped paying for it.
Okay, I don't talking about the meat.
And that happens in any industry.
I'm not talking about that though. I'm talking about like cleaner energy and stuff. You have to have policies like, hey, we're going to stop using coal, we're going to do this or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not like trying to go into like specific things, but you know what I mean?
But that goes back to the consumer, I think, too. You know what I mean? Like if the consumer finds out that whatever they're consuming involves coal for the production, they don't have to pay for it anymore.
Yeah, but
that stops the demand for it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about power. You're not just gonna be like, I'm not gonna pay for my power if it's only supplied through coal. You know what I mean? You have no choice. Either I'm gonna live without power, or I'm going.
No, there's other ways to generate power.
If you have money, if you're fucking
there's money out there. There's an overabundance of money out there, and it could just be printed over. There's plenty of money.
Yeah, but you're talking about the consumer. I'm not talking about.
Yeah, well, it's like gonna force the companies to pony up the money, because the money is not being put into less footprint. The money's going into their pockets. Yeah, and they're like, fuck the world.
I just want to argue with you, because I think you're putting too much
responsibility on the consumer,
on individuals, when the governments that are supposed to be protecting the people are not protecting the people, and they're interested in their own.
We know that though.
I know, but I'm saying we need to be holding them more accountable, because I'm saying, you know what I mean? I bet you individuals, like say for instance, you don't recycle. I bet you that is way less than all the government's power plants that are polluting the fucking atmosphere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that if it's the industries really that we need to be having more regulations and more accountability for. Yeah. I'm not saying we should still have accountability as individuals. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
the bulk of the pollutants are not from like individuals. It's not like I'm not creating carbon monoxide over here. You know what I mean?
No. I'm not thinking of individual. Yes, that's important too. But I'm talking about. I'm talking about demand, and I'm talking about business. These businesses are only ran, and they're only polluting because there's demand for whatever product they're putting out that is being produced through these products or through whatever coal.
All right, well,
you know what I mean?
Let's talk about this one. Here's a good one for you.
Yeah.
Why don't you have an electric car?
Well, because I can't afford it yet.
Well, see, there you go. See how you're saying that it's in the consumer's hands. Well, you're the consumer. You could stop polluting the atmosphere with the carbon monoxide from your car. And then I could say exactly what you said to me when you said, I don't have enough money. Well, there's an abundance of money out there. See how, like...
Yeah, it's actually more... I think...
That's what I'm talking about. If we held them more accountable, they put more research into sustainable energy, making it so we can get more cars that aren't running on oil and shit like that, that would be way less pollutants in the atmosphere. That's what I'm saying. We need to hold the governments and the policymakers more accountable for these things.
Yeah, that's what I call a electric cars are not a for me, they're necessary, but they're not a necessary thing in general for people. It's more of a, I have a lot of money, I'm going to pay for it. It's kind of like my business.
Do you know how much?
Anybody who buys from me, they don't need it. It's because they want it. They got the money for it.
No, the electric car is not. The electric cars are for the environment. We're talking about global warming.
I know, but they're expensive, I think. So they're only attainable for people who have money. Yeah. It's not for the average.
Yeah, that was my same exact thing when I said.
So those industries are what I'm specifically talking about. The attainable.
Yeah. Purchases like meat and clothing and all that type
exactly.
of shit. But that's probably like a fucking.
That's
a drop in a bucket. You know what I mean? Compared to the automobile industry.
Actually, CO2 carbon emissions is a very small footprint. To the
I don't know. Actually, there's
a document there. I think it might have even been Cowspiracy.
It's in Cowspiracy, but those ones
very small.
But I'm saying there's 100 different studies and all of them say different things. But we do know that CO2 is a factor, so we should be trying to
absolutely
that.
Yeah. So that's at the bottom though, according to the pie chart that the dude who
I would say according to their pie chart. I'm saying there's a fucking 1,000 studies, so I'm not. Yeah, you know, I mean, if like 900 of them say that CO2 is a big.
I actually value people who do a lot of research though. Like for instance, the guy who directed What the Health and Cowspiracy or whatever, like he does his research, man. Like, what do you think about him and where he gets his resources from?
I think that he still has an agenda because I think that there are some of his sources that aren't that extremely.
You think he deviates from the truth to pander to his agenda is what you're saying?
Yeah, a little bit. Not extremely. Like, he's not, like, blatantly lying, but he is using specific studies. You know what I mean? Like, so say there's 10 studies, right?
The problem is no one stepped up to the plate to contest him on it.
Well, people
so what is that?
Not like in a documentary, but people...
That's the best platform to do it. Okay. And so nobody did that. So when someone's calling somebody out, and this is your chance to set this... provide facts, whatever he's deviating from, like, you know what, there's some cracks in your foundation. Yeah, that's the best time. It's kind of like you're running away from having to defend yourself. I'm not saying his sources are bad. I'm saying, like, overall the message is good. Most of the statistics are good. Some of them are a little extreme. You know what I mean? Yeah. I tend to believe his statistics
because it's like, well, is it? Do you tend to believe them because you've researched all the other studies and then you went, oh, those are believable, or because they go with what you want to believe? Like, you want to believe because the plant-based thing is a good thing, so you're like, I believe that.
It's not the bias. It's the amount of work people put into what they're trying, the message you're putting out there. It's not how convicted they are and how biased they are towards it. It's how much work have you done and how much research have you done, and where have you gotten your information from? Like, what kind of credible resources have you actually gotten this source of information from? Right. No, it's really not about the bias at all.
I'm just saying what he does in there is a couple of the studies. Some of the more bold claims in there are from like studies where he's like, in a more recent study, it's just one study, whereas like a lot of other people use like, okay, over an accumulation of 10 studies, we took all the averages of those, and this is what we found. You know what I mean? He's like, this one study, one study could just have false findings. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like right, but then you try to do the study again, you don't get the same results again. You know what I mean? So you can just have one study that's just wrong, and not even on purpose, just like accidentally wrong. You know what I mean? That's just, you gotta have a bigger sample base.
Yeah. So basically though, like, so Jim's saying the cars are not real expensive. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I was just trying to make a point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, what do you know?
Before we stop that, though, I will say that even though you want to put a lot of the accountability on someone else, there's still a level of accountability back to the individual, no matter what the product is. There has to be.
I'm saying...
Even a car, you're paying for it. If no one pays for it, even if the car is bad, obviously this is good, it's reversed. But you see what I'm saying? There's no demand for anything. It's not going to be built. It doesn't.
I mean, they are being built. They're really being built more. It's just not fast enough for the climate change.
But they wouldn't if nobody wanted it. You know what I mean? There's the only reason anything is produced is because people want it. I have money, produce it. Now, either you care about how it's produced or you don't. You see what I'm saying? It's the same reason I don't go to Walmart. I'm not going to support that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to support that. It's the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Whatever I don't believe in and I don't want to contribute to, I'm not a part of.
Yeah.
And I hold myself to a level of accountability.
Yeah. Well,
So-
that's also not what I was saying, though. I was saying we need to hold ourselves accountable. We also need to hold them accountable.
Okay.
Because we're not doing both. It needs to be both.
Yeah.
And I'm saying we need to hold both accountable because they contribute more.
Yeah.
And also, they make they make the policies, though. So we need to elect people that have make better policies. We need to be accountable by the people we elect, but the people we elect also need to be accountable for the shit they're doing because they're doing it on a bigger scale. You know what I mean? It's like you don't recycle a water bottle. What they're doing is like we didn't recycle 1 million water bottles. Like it's on a much bigger scale what the government's doing than what the individuals are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, they're tied together.
It is, and all I'm saying is I think there's more accountability. There should be more accountability for the consumer. Whatever that percentage is, I don't know, but it's really in our control is what I'm saying. And accountability is one of the best things you could do for yourself. So even if you're not accountable, it's good practice in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you should still be practicing.
There's nothing bad about accountability.
My last little thing I'm going to say is we elected them to be the fucking leaders. Be the fucking leaders. And fucking protect the people that they fucking elected you.
And I will say fuck the government too, yeah. When we're talking about them making... Yeah. Do those count as fucks?
Fuck the government. Not the police, but fuck the government.
Wind farms. Let's go back up a little bit and answer some of these really quick.
Really quick, yeah. We'll give it a couple
I think we need more cleaner energy. Answer Poopy real quick. Do you hate scooter riders?
Oh, sorry, dude. No, I don't hate scooter riders, but I used to, because I wasn't, when you're a kid, you don't think individually for yourself. And I remember being a kid and being like, like you get in those like groups, like we've been talking about in the podcast, and being a skateboarder, you're like, fuck the scooter kids. You know what I mean? Nowadays, I'm like, good for them. You know what I mean?
You tend to shame people
that aren't in your group. And now I don't give a fuck. I'm like, hey, man, they're having fun on their fucking scooters as long as they're not being like obnoxious. Because sometimes scooter kids are kind of known for like getting in the way because they're usually like young kids on scooters and shit. Like
scooters look like fun.
Yeah, hanging out like in places where you're like they're in the way. You know what I mean? That's annoying. But like the scooter kids I seen, they've grown up now and they're like riding their shit just like skateboarders do. So I'm like, all right, cool.
That's hilarious. Jim's saying we need more clean energy. There's a lot of alternatives now. I see the fans all over the Washington, Oregon. It's talking about wind farms. There's a way for energy. Yeah. There's tons of wind turbines for that. There's many ways. Well, a handful of ways.
Yeah, but these ones, see, in order for that, we have to elect people that want and pass those bills. We have to vote for those bills and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, we have accountability, but also that's what I'm saying. It is accountability on both sides, but we need to have better leaders. We're opposed to like if this town is fueled by oil or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your only options are be really rich and install solar panels on your fucking house or something like that, or if you're not rich, you're gonna have to pay for the shit that they provide anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're kind of stuck with your, with a budget dictates.
There are some things that are in your control, and there's some things that are out of your control. As a group, we can make controls over the big things, but we have to come together and vote together as a group.
Even the people that can't afford the things like the hybrid cars or any of these things that make a better world, I would say that comes back to accountability. You need to put yourself in a position where you can actually afford things that make a better world. So I'm pretty harsh when it comes to accountability. Like
that's why I gave you shit about the electric car when you said you can't afford it, because it was just
make more money. That's my answer.
I was just saying the same thing you said when I argued. That's why I said it like
people say I can't afford things like that. Like you're in that situation because you haven't taken any action. So
yeah. I was also giving you shit because you drive trucks. I mean, I think they do have hybrid trucks now though, so you could totally do that.
I can't do my job without a truck, and if there is an option that presents itself, absolutely I'll do that.
I bet you within the next couple of years you could probably afford one. You know what I mean? I think they're probably like $50,000 though, you know what I mean? So
and that's worth it, I think. Yeah. It better be brand new.
I was just trying to give a little contention for the argument, so
absolutely. You can get a hybrid half electrical. Okay.
Yeah, I mean those are pretty nice because I think that they kind of do like their cruising on electric and then do a little bit of like the hard acceleration with the gas. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a nice middle ground. It burns less fuel. You know what I mean? So it's still like it's the vegetarian. It's a vegetarian. How do you fucking say that? It's the vegetarians of electric cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's in the middle.
Yeah, it's a step up.
Yeah, we're not fully vegan.
It's a great step, but just go all the way.
Well, another thing that's shitty about electric cars is there's not enough charging stations yet for them. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go. Yeah. You can't do a road trip on them because unless you like know that there's gonna be places where you can charge your car.
Yeah, there's a lot of that show Down to Earth. I think the first episode they were in Iceland, and they do a lot of sustainable stuff, and they're using a lot of renewable resources, and they're living off the volcano, geothermal energy, and so they also had electric cars there set up a lot all over the place. So I think with the right people in place, like you said, the right things happen for sustainable world. Jim makes a very good point. Big companies use money to buy the politicians. And that's exactly why we end up in these situations.
Me and Heather were talking about that. I think that lobbying should be illegal. It should be illegal.
For ill intent, for shit that's destroying our planet, absolutely. I mean, I obviously wouldn't have a problem with it if it's for a good agenda.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, is
that might only be what it's gonna take. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta fight fire with fire sometimes. That might be the only solution to get out of this shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. If that is the only solution, I'm okay with that.
It's corruption, you know what I mean? I'd rather have it just be neutral. And then
I would too. That's a perfect world. But if that is the only solution and that's a step towards the right direction, I'm okay with lobbying towards a better solution. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like that. Just stop the lobbying over lobbying. Just maybe if you could just get towards a better solutions and then not have to lobby after that, you know, sustain that, you know?
Yeah. It's just
sustain the political agenda in a positive direction. Poopy's like, do you know who
Mr. Beast?
Oh, Mr. Beast? No.
He's a YouTuber. He has a lot of money and he does cool things. I think he helped plant 1 million trees and shit. Okay. He does cool giveaways and stuff on his channel. He's a cool dude.
I've never heard of him.
I don't know how he has so much money, but he has a lot of money and he does a lot of cool things with his money. Yeah, there was a thing where he was planting trees and trying to get people to plant trees and shit. So
that's cool, man. I hope that I can get in a position where I'm just filthy rich to where I can actually contribute a mass amount to better causes and things, man.
That's probably the only thing I would do if I was filthy rich, because I don't need a lot of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have a jet. You know why? Because I don't even like flying. I would just be I'd be sitting at home. I got my electric car. I got my 4-bedroom house. I mean, maybe I'd pay if I was had billions of dollars, maybe I'd pay $10 million for a house. But then I would just not buy a second house. You know what I mean? I got the perfect house. You know what I mean?
You don't need it. You know, unless you're just oh, I want a house over there for summer or vacation. I don't know.
I'd probably build a house with a skate park and a movie theater. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Those are probably the two extravagant things that I would want at my house. But I think besides that, it would just be a normal house. You know what I mean? Nice big kitchen.
Yeah, I don't need a filthy house. 4,000 square foot house. That's ridiculous.
Technically, I wouldn't even need the movie theater, but I would like to have even just some ramps and stuff in the backyard. That wouldn't even be expensive though, for a rich person. You know what I mean?
I say that now, but I would like a basketball court. That's a lot of square footage.
That's not inside the house though, huh?
Yeah, technically, yeah. Well, an indoor court.
My grandpa said that I need a jet. I do not need a jet. I don't like planes at all. I just flew this year and I fucking hated it. All right.
We went over that, so let's keep the format.
Let's do 20 minutes for this one, because I don't think it'll need still full 25 like we just did.
This is cool. I'm actually really excited about this. And Snakes, if you're still joining us, I'd really like to get your input on this, because I know you really like this guy too.
I'll tell you what, Grandpa. He said so. Grandpa can get rest. I'll tell you what, Grandpa. If I get filthy rich, I'll buy you a fucking plane. How about that? Because I don't want one.
You can pick him up when he needs the ride. And
you're hey, Grandpa, come bring the jet.
I gotta go to Cali. Come fly me.
I'd rather drive.
No way.
Yeah, dude.
I'm all about that time, man. Cut that time and
see. Well, the thing we and Heather were talking about, if I drive down to California, nice time of year, I'll just stop at all the skate parks on the way there. You know?
Yeah. There's a different agenda there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, if they're we need you down here for an audition tomorrow, I'll be well, fuck me. Let's get on the plane.
Poopy's how do you think he could follow up with the 20 million trees? You mean, how does he top that?
Yeah, how does he top that?
Where do you go from there? Right? There's plenty of other stuff you can donate to and contribute to. There's so many good causes out there.
Yeah.
Environmental causes, so it's really not that hard to find or look for.
Cleaning trash out of the ocean.
Exactly. I mean, there's just so much you could do, especially in that individual. Mr. Beast seems like he's all about that too. He would do something like that. So I'm sure he's very well aware of all these things that need addressed. So
Yeah. All right. So we got a review.
all right, we're getting onto the review section now, guys, and
Well, we don't have a full name for this one yet, but it's our review section. We'll probably rename it.
yeah, review section for now. I'm really excited about this because I thought this was really creative and cool. So I don't know if you guys heard about the artist Tom McDonald. He's a rapper, new age rapper, I guess you would call him. Probably not anybody Jim you would know about. Or I don't know, maybe you might surprise me. I don't know.
He's just bumping on me. Mobbing around.
So yeah, he's a rapper. He's got a really cool style. He's this white guy that has dreadlocks. He usually likes to put contacts,
He's got those black
contacts, which I really like. I like those when people put that in there. It just reminds me of like The Grudge or like The Ring or something. I don't know, man. It's just creepy, dude, when you see that shit. It reminds me of that movie Event Horizon. If you ever seen that.
No,
Space
I think I
horror.
wanted to watch it, but I didn't.
It's pretty good.
I'm not a fan of the black contacts, but whatever. I'm not hating on him because of it.
So he's got a cool style, and he just came out with a new song. It's called "People Were Stupid," and I thought my personal opinion of that track was very cool, very creative. Just a basic, good little beat to it. The video's okay. I like the news anchor setup. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then actually I did like the video because I like the one where he's on the crucifix sitting there rapping too.
Oh yeah. You know what I was thinking?
That was cool.
I actually did like it more when I watched the video than when I listened to it, because I had listened to it a second time.
Nice.
Yeah.
The lyrics really got me. That's what I like most about it. I'm so picky with my rap. In case you guys didn't know this. Very picky. It's got to flow really good. It's got to be super fucking creative. And you gotta have a good voice too. But I thought it was really good. The lyrics were so thought-provoking. When your lyrics get me thinking, my mind's like, holy shit, holy. Like, I mean, that's the kind of rap I like. And everything he's talking about is relevant, up-to-date, and current events. So it was very cool and thought-provoking. That was my opinion. Fantastic job the man did.
I thought
What'd you think?
I liked his message. I think what was I gonna say?
Highly offensive to some people.
To some people,
You know,
nobody that I even agree with.
Transgenders.
Oh,
man.
yeah, I guess he
was going down transgender road a little bit,
Okay.
which that'll be a topic for us. We've been kind of. That's our viral viewpoint actually.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. That'll segue into it. So he definitely takes some shots at transgenders, but again, he's an artist. Let's not assume that this is his belief necessarily. He's entertaining. You know what I mean?
I did. He did that. He also had the thing on abortions, right?
I think so.
Because he was talking about how. What was his line? I'm gonna butcher it, so don't crucify
We're
me
gonna have
over
to
here.
quote these next time. It was really
yeah, I
good.
need to write these down. But yeah, he made some line about how, like bacteria on Mars is considered like some like minor little cells on Mars is considered life, but like a beating heart.
Yeah.
Inside
Yes, I remember.
Inside of a person isn't considered life.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Very thought provoking. Just the two liners
Yeah.
gets the brain going. That's what I like about his rap.
Yeah.
And anybody who does that kind of rap, it's like, oh wow, you're right. That's like heavy, dude.
I didn't think he had like amazing rhyming schemes, but I think he made up for it with the actual contents of the.
Yeah.
Of the
Well, if
message.
you're looking for constant rhyming, yeah, you will be disappointed.
It's pretty hard to get the message through there if you're keeping a rhyming scheme.
But he did a very good job at utilizing a poetic license. And if you don't know what that is, it means you don't have to rhyme all the time necessarily. It's a way to kind of rhyme
Yeah.
and just have the it's hard to explain. The base of it kind of rhymes, but it doesn't. So that's called using a poetic license.
Yeah. You can also do yeah, I know what you're saying. Where it kind
I love that.
It kind of rhymes.
That makes it
It's
even
better.
more creative for me.
Yeah. I like what Eminem does, which I think is called like a slant rhyme.
Mm.
It's where he like emphasizes like the vowel in the middle of a word
Yes.
to rhyme with the previous end of
Yes.
a word.
Yeah.
So that way he can get away with not having the ends of every line rhyme.
Mm-hmm. Very creative.
And I don't think Tom McDonald doesn't really do that, or maybe he does it just a little bit. But Eminem's like the king of that, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, no one does it as good as Eminem, but
And he uses his tone.
yeah, he uses his tone to make words that don't rhyme sound like they rhyme. So.
Eminem's on another level. I mean, Eminem's one of the guys that started doing narratives, in my opinion. What I mean by that is he would use an alternate voice to create another character in the middle of his raps.
Yeah.
Love that about him.
It's pretty cool.
That's creative. And then people started taking that, like Hobson obviously started biting that style, in my opinion. Hobson's good, but he did take that style from Eminem, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wish Eminem had lost some of his cool voices and switched them with some like dorky ones, but
yeah,
whatever. Tangent. Anything else about the Tom McDonald thing?
It's just really good. If you guys have not seen the video, I would love for you to check it out and give us your thoughts. Tom McDonald, People Are Stupid. Give it a listen. Give me your thoughts. And so, I don't know if we can. I mean, there's really nothing else to say about that.
It's a quick little.
It's just a quick review, and I like I said, I just really admired the song and the creativity of it. It's really hard to catch my attention with entertainment, and specifically with rap these days. It's got to be really good. So he caught my attention with it.
Yeah. Next time we do a review, I'm going to take more notes. That way we have more individual things.
Absolutely. Well, we can talk a little bit about specific quotes, like he was talking about. And this is good because we're going to segue into transgenders, which is going to be our viral viewpoint. And so the viral viewpoint is we need some of your guys' opinion on these topics. And so the line he made for, what did he say? Damn it. I really wish I knew it verbatim, but he was talking about, if I cut off my balls and penis, does that make me a girl or does that make me a woman?
Right.
Something like that. Highly offensive, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But thought-provoking. You cannot deny that it's thought-provoking. Just quick little one-liners like that, or two-liners, whatever you call it. Mm-hmm. Do you know who Oliver Tree is? No, don't know who Oliver Tree is. Drop us some knowledge, man.
Are they another rapper or something?
What's Hot 99? Oh, okay. Hot 99.7. That's a
it's like
radio
a Yakima station or something.
Oh, okay.
Hip hop station.
Nice. So yeah, check it out. Give us your opinion. I'm really interested to know what you guys think about that guy's video. So moving on to the viral viewpoint segment, transgenders.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about this. This is a super sensitive subject. We haven't really talked about this. We've brushed on it a little bit, but now we're gonna go head on with this, in my opinion. So I'd like to know your opinion. I would love to know your guys' opinion, because this would solidify the actual segment, which is called the viral viewpoint. We'd like to get the viewers' viewpoint as well. So what are your thoughts on transgenders? I wonder if they like, I'm confused about the labels part of it.
Right.
They're labeling themselves a transgender, but from what I understood, they don't like labels. Am I hearing that right?
What do you mean they don't like labels?
Like, don't put a gender on me.
No.
Don't put this on me. Don't put that on me.
No,
but I'm a transgender. Or is that for people that are gender neutral only?
Yeah, that's what you're thinking of. You're thinking of gender neutral people.
But I think transgenders use that argument too. Like, you called me a boy for this song, and I was never a boy. You put a label on me. I'm actually a girl. Yeah. And then more specifically, I'm actually a transgender. Well, and so technically it's being labeled, in my opinion. Mm. But what I'm trying to get at is, let's talk about labels first. I think labels and IDs, identification setups, are essential. They're well, I wouldn't even say essential. I say they might not even be considered essential, I guess. What's the word I'm looking for? They're important to be efficient at processing things. More specifically, maybe the medical side. It's just a quick way to identify things and rule out things, rather than just having a guessing game of who is this individual. Yeah. It's kind of like having an ID. And if you don't have an identification system, like, who is this person? Yeah. We don't know what we're dealing with.
Well, also,
it's a starting point.
Your role or your ID or whatever is important to your identity, how you see yourself as well. So it's not only important for other people, but it's also important for yourself.
I agree.
From a mental standpoint, you know what I mean? So the way you think of yourself matters.
Absolutely.
To you. So.
No thoughts. Come on, Phil. Give us your thoughts, man. Don't shy away from these hard topics, man. This is why we have a podcast that we talk about heavy shit like this.
So, all right, we'll get into the base. I think there's a lot to go through here. So
Yeah.
Also, I did not set a timer. For this,
Come
so
on.
hold up. That's okay. We like we actually went short.
Nice.
Short.
Feels like I was being a smartass. Nice.
Well, here's the thing. So, I'll give you kind of what I was learning last quarter in college is, did you know that there's some people that are like, have sexual like characteristics of both
Yes, I'm
sexes?
very well aware of
The
that. Yeah.
intersex people?
Yep. No, I know it's a thing.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
And I'm okay with all. I mean, that is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually not. It's not when you think about it, because there's all kinds of anomalies. People with two heads, you know what I mean? Conjoined twins.
Right.
That is not that hard to fathom when we got weird shit like that happening. It really isn't.
Mhm.
I mean, we've seen it all.
Yeah. So some of the people. So do you know how chromosomes work
No.
for your gender?
No.
So females typically have two X chromosomes, and then males have an X and a Y.
Okay.
And some of these intersex people sometimes will have like two X and a Y chromosome,
Okay.
or they'll have like an X and two Y chromosomes, and that's what's giving them like the characteristics of both.
Okay.
I was studying this. It was in my psychology class, and it was like the effects of people that are intersex, because like some of them, like for instance, like they'll be born with like, you know, genitals of like both sexes.
Mhm.
And they'll have like, the doctors will usually like make a choice, like we're gonna have him be this person or whatever, which I think is a bad idea.
Now that's a different topic. Yeah.
That's a bad idea, because there was an example of like this person, they had like their male genitals cut off, and because they were like, oh, they're more like a girl, so they made them into a girl.
They're
And then
allocating what
Yeah.
they want.
Yeah, and
They're
then
putting their own opinion on
Yeah.
this person.
so then they grew up their whole life not feeling right, and
Yeah.
then they went,
That makes sense.
and they didn't know they were intersex their entire life though.
Yeah.
So I think that
Well, that's because you're being influenced, and especially when you're a child. I mean, you're at your peak of being influenced, so you're gonna believe it. It's the same thing of like eating meat. If you're growing up eating meat, you don't know the difference. You have no idea it's anything bad for you until you start looking into shit yourself.
yeah.
Quick. I'm gonna address this while you were talking about it. Jim, I'm gonna pose a question to you. You said you believe if you are the gender you were born with. Sorry, you have no room for it. I respect that. So to what Danny said, the individuals who are born with both genitals, what would you call, if you say you believe you're the gender you're born with, what if you're born with both genitals? How would appropriate way to handle that be for you? I'd like you to know your opinion on that.
Yeah. The reason I brought that up is because a lot of those people, not a lot, but there's a proportion of those people that don't feel comfortable with the gender that they're assigned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like a woman, or I don't feel like a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that would make
sometimes-
sense if they're born with both genitals, or not even that extreme. If they just have more estrogen or more
Yeah.
testosterone, that just
Right.
internally, chemically, they feel that way.
Yeah, and I think the reason I brought that up is because that's what you hear a lot from transgender people. So people that aren't
Yes.
born intersex, but they have the same exact thing. Like, I don't feel that way. I've never really felt.
Yeah.
You know, I've never really associated with all the characteristics of a man or a woman. And I think it's more. So here's where nowadays in the social sciences they differentiate your sex with your gender. So your sex is like the scientific whole.
Okay.
You have a penis, so your sex is male, whereas your gender is what they're referring to now as like a social construct. You know what I mean? So like, you know, men are supposed to like go out and work and be like this and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And women are supposed to be like this. And so they're saying your gender can be on the spectrum. They're not ever really saying your sex can be on the spectrum. They're saying your gender, so your social construct
Yeah.
of how you feel. You know what I mean?
Or what's been put on you by society.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can get on board with that because I think we've proven in many ways that a man can do a woman's job and a woman can do a man's job. Now, I will say that on average, there's some jobs that men can do better than women, vice versa. Women can do things that are better than men. On average, we're just using an average and a general, but this is not specific to every single case.
Yeah.
So I think when we just get narrow-minded, that's when we're surprised and we start getting these arguments and stuff. Jim says he's never heard of that.
He's never heard of the intersex thing. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. How old are you? I've heard of this.
63.
I've heard of this like back on Oprah 20 years ago.
I heard about it back in the day, like kids talking about it, but I thought it was like a made-up thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard of it from people who've actually went on a show and talked about it or something, you know?
So what I'm wondering is, I'm sure this isn't true for all transgender people, but I'm wondering if there's a proportion of transgender people that their chromosomes aren't exactly matching up to what they appear to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there are people that are intersex where they don't have like both genitals, but their chromosomes are still slightly different. So I'm wondering if a proportion of transgender people have that, but they're not getting their DNA tested. You know what I mean? To see if their chromosomes are slightly different than the average person's. So that might be a contributing factor to why it's happening. You know what I mean?
So the best scenario is to just, if using your example, is if someone's born with, uncertain chromosome profiles and they're both genitals, just let them live out there and let them figure out who they want to be as they grow up. Stop putting your own beliefs and societal expectations on them.
Yeah, exactly.
I can get on board with that, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think...
Because the problem is you're making a decision for a human being that can't make a decision yet.
Yeah.
And so they're really... they rely on you, they depend on you, and they're trusting you.
Basically what you're doing is you're going, you're in this group, you need to act this way because we're putting you into this group, right?
Yeah, nobody likes that.
No.
Nobody likes that.
And it's fine if you actually identify with that group, but the problem comes when you don't identify with that group, right? So
yeah. Here, let's catch up real quick. So Jim says, all right, Jim, you say you are not certain that you can make a decision without experiencing it, to be honest, and that's the reply to me asking you what you would, what you think would be the best course of action if there was a baby that was born with both genitals. Now,
but you also follow that up with,
I do not think I should make that decision, or that a doctor should either. Okay, so that's what we were just talking about. And that's what we're getting at, Jim. So I'm kind of actually happy to hear you say that. You came full circle of that, because...
that's why I made that whole entire argument with intersex before I went to transgender, because I think that it kind of paints a picture that it's not...
where you're forcing something.
You're forcing something, and honestly, they're not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, why do we care so much?
Well, it's a personal thing. Yeah. We're projecting.
Exactly.
As people are projecting, they don't know how to deal with it, and unfortunately, there's a victim that's being made at that when that happens. And that's the sad part. And especially to a child is what's really sad. These are things that I had to learn too, you know what I mean? I was naive to it, and people never talked about it. So being exposed to this type of stuff, I mean, we have a lot of transgenders. We have a lot of, in this area, it's normal. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
And it should be. And so I like that about this area, because there was a time where I probably couldn't get on board with that, and I was really set in my ways. And and we're talking years ago. I've really changed a lot.
Yeah, me too. So I was a little bit more, it's naive, but also, what's the other word? It's not naive.
Hard-headed?
Yeah, a little bit hard-headed.
Not wanting to seek the information.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's another word, but I can't think of it right now. But yeah.
Egotistical. There could be a lot of things.
There's a lot of words to apply there, but you get the picture. I was the same way with veganism, and now I'm a vegan, so there's that. So
yeah, you gotta look into those things. When I told Jim, you never heard of this yet, and Philip's like, he's old. Jim's like, I wanted one girl, but I'm happy with four boys. You better start trying before you get too old.
Don't try. No one should have a kid that old. It's just bad for the kid.
Stop saying he's old, man. Maybe he's 60 years young. What if he lives to be 100? What would you call that?
Well, he's over halfway there, so he's old.
Do we call people old based on the assumption they're only living to 60 or 70, though? You see what I'm saying here?
I think 80 is.
Because I just watched a documentary where over there in Italy they have the most
they have a lot of
centurions, people that live to be 100 or older.
Right.
That's crazy. That's awesome. And so when I thought about that, I was like, when do they consider, when you live to be 100, when are you considered old? 40? 50? You're just halfway of your life. Like, is that considered old? Or the older you get, the bar gets pushed out?
You're just even more old.
Yeah.
I feel like it's somewhere around 50.
All right.
You know?
Yeah, because at 50, you can still look pretty good. I've seen a lot of 50-year-olds who are like in shape, got a little bit of white, but they're styling it and stuff.
Yeah.
They're like style. They're like,
but you're really pushing the young look at that point. You know what I mean? You're getting to the point where you can't anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Like
You're reaching.
You think of like Jared Leto, Jim Carrey, people like that. You know, like they're hitting 50 and it's starting to show. You know what I mean? It's like you can get away with the youth until about 50, and then you start getting old.
I mean, I think it's proven fact. After you hit your 30s, your body starts physically dying.
It's actually,
slowly.
I think it's 27.
It's gotten even
Scientifically, on average, I think it's around 27.
Okay.
What happens is, so your body reproduces cells. After a certain age, your body starts reproducing cells less than they're dying. So your cells are dying over time more than they're regenerating.
Yeah.
So I think. I don't think it's an exact number. I think it's different for everyone.
Yeah,
but I think the average is 27.
That's insane to think about.
No, you've seen some fucking. Well, I think it is an average because I think you've seen some 24-year-olds where you're like, Jesus, what fucking happened to you?
Oh my god, that throws me off.
Yeah.
You see someone that's 20-something or 30 and they look much older than you. It's like, dang, dude,
What happened?
what happened? Like, yeah, turn your life around.
We both lost our youth. Have I? Oh well, it is what it is. It can't last forever, you know.
We do think. I mean, if he's talking about you and me and you do things that keep us. Me specifically, also, I really focus on some things that kind of hold my youth. Like some people you called it childhood. I think I've talked about this before, like playing in a band.
Yeah, we were talking about this like really recently, like the last podcast or the one before that or something.
Yeah, you're skating, like you're getting into things that might be considered like you're too old for that. That some people might be like, hey, you're too old for that type of stuff.
Fuck that, man.
And that's a label.
Yeah.
And that's societal expectation type shit. It's like, no.
Yeah.
People project. What you mean is, I'm too old for that, or not even that. What you mean is, I think I'm too old for that. You haven't even pushed the limits of your mentality.
I tell you what, I have decided I'm going to skate until I can't. That's when I'll be too fucking old for it.
Good point.
Literally.
Good point.
I can't do it anymore. I literally can't, so I'm too old.
Yeah, the whole it's all downhill from there mentality is... I don't like that.
When is it all down? I mean, it's a funny saying, right?
It's a funny saying. It's an old person saying. It's like 6 to 1, half a dozen other. Same shit, different day. Those sayings are outdated to me, and I they're funny to me.
I don't think it's all downhill from here until like the last 10 years of your life, right?
Exactly. And it might not even be all downhill unless you're unhealthy.
Some people, it's only like the last like 6 months. They're like perfectly healthy.
Exactly.
They're like 85, and all of a sudden, they're like, oh, I guess I'm dying.
Exactly. If you are unhealthy and you live to be, that's another thing I'd like to say. The people that live to be people have been like, some people smoke and live to be 100. Okay. Do you think the last 30 years of their life were comfortable? You think that they were actually breathing well? You think their blood circulation was well? Had they, versus them actually being healthy. Those last years could have been condensed. Those last 30 miserable years could have been condensed down into 6 months, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could have lived a nice, fruitful life, a nice, healthy life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really how you take care of yourself. Okay.
But back to, because you had some other stuff on here. Because when we talked about transgender, I gave my kind of like intro to kind of warm people up to the idea of transgender people, I think. And then we already talked about labels, but you had some other stuff in there. ID.
This is great because we can segue off of what they're saying.
Yeah.
So Jim was just saying, just kidding, we're not old. Philip says, played baseball, softball till I couldn't. That's great, man. I mean, that's the way to take it to the limit. I do not think I'm old. If you feel good to do those things, if you feel good, do those things. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Age is just a number. Your grandpa Mickey's 83. Awesome. Back to what Philip said. He's talking about baseball and softball till he couldn't. Let's segue into genders and talk about sports now. How do you think they should handle the sports with transgenders?
I think it's fine for most sports that aren't.
How do you think it should be set up? That's specifically.
I think it should be by sex, but only in certain sports. I think most sports, if you're good enough to compete with the pros, I think that you should mix together. Like baseball, for instance. Like if there was a girl baseball player that was good enough to play Major League Baseball with all the men, just let her fucking play. If she's that good, she's just as good as the men, fucking let her in. You know what I mean? I don't think it matters, but I'm thinking, you're thinking about like fighting and weightlifting and stuff like that.
Any sport.
Well, I think it matters for fighting and weightlifting and stuff like that. Things where like there's a clear distinction between men and women on a sexual, like scientific, your sex, not your gender, but the sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're born with like a lot of testosterone, you're gonna have more muscle mass than if your primary hormone is estrogen, right? So
what is my specific question? How would you think sports should be set up? Let's just use basketball as an example. This is for every sport I'm talking about, but we're just trying to narrow stuff down for conversation's sake. Let's use basketball and say, how would this be set up to where it's equal for everybody? We can please the social expectation people. We could also please the people that don't like labels and want to also participate in their. How would this be equally, fairly set up?
I think if we're gonna do it to where you can switch genders like this, you know what I mean? I think the only viable solution is to drop the men and women's leagues and just have the highest league, just tiers of leagues, you know what I mean? And just let men and women compete in any league that they're good enough to compete in, you know what I mean?
Okay.
That way, it doesn't matter what your gender is. It's just like, are you good enough to be in this league? You know what I mean?
And if you sign up for that, you better be ready. Like, if you're at a disadvantage, you got to understand that and be ready for it.
Yeah, if you sign up for the highest level of MMA, be ready to.
Yeah, and I actually like that mentality. If people want to, I encourage that, stepping up to do the hard thing. I'm all about that shit.
Yeah.
That's a great solution too. I didn't thought of that. I think adding would be the solution in my opinion. So,
adding a transgender league?
Yeah, so and also go to what you're talking about. So keep the male, keep the female, add the transgender. You can pick whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You want to be a part of the transgender league? Do your thing. If you think you can fall in the men's league and you're fully a woman or whatever, do it. Vice versa. Like, you know what I mean? Give options. They should, and not allocate things.
Yeah. I think if you do the tiers though, it's kind of like the same thing.
It's the same thing, really. Yeah.
Yeah, but
just a different element.
But you shouldn't be able to compete in a tier that's below your skill level. You know what I mean? That way you can just dominate everyone. You know what I mean? For instance, when a transgender male to female goes to female boxing and just destroys the natural born females, like that's fucked up. Like that shouldn't be allowed to happen, right?
Then to what I was saying, the way to solve that is have two transgender leagues. One male to female, one female to male.
Right.
That's the only way to make it fair.
Yeah, I guess doing something like that. Or
providing options, you know what I mean?
That or having all the leagues together. That'd be very interesting because in society it's looked down upon to hit a woman. But if you had mixed boxing, you know what I mean? Or you just put men and women, it's just in tiers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, well, you guys are at the same level and you're just like,
I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna punch that bitch in the face.
That would make it fair, though, right? What I was talking about, and also what you said would make it fair too.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what the right answer is? We're just spitballing.
Yeah, we're just, and I would love to hear your guys' opinion on that too. We're just kind of, this is my personal opinion, his personal opinion. These are great things to talk about. Both things that we're talking about is actually providing solutions, though. We're not talking about restriction and limitations. You know what I mean? Which is, I think that's the real goal. Is just providing solutions for people that are different. You know what I mean? Like, we're all different. When I say different, it's not bad. Let's not put the bad connotation on different. Different's good, in my opinion.
Well, I think with the tiers, it's just like, so for instance, my grandpa said too many tiers. I think that we want to be, if my solution isn't to be labeling them like by gender, you know what I mean? Just by like major league, minor league, whatever, different levels.
Classes,
like
yeah.
Top.
Yeah.
Level 2, level 3, level 4. No genders involved at all, you know what I mean? Just.
Yeah, that's a great.
I mean, it's already kind of like that, but it's also, you know what I mean? You have like the WNBA and then you have like college, you know what I mean? It's the same thing in regular sports already anyways. You already have tier levels, so.
Yeah.
Like you have Major League Baseball, then you have minor league baseball, you have college baseball, so you could do the same thing, just put the sexes and genders together, whatever. So
Yeah, I think that's a great solution, man, and that will please everybody. Is what we're getting at here.
also it will stop that kind of like equality bullshit. You know, like why can't the women compete with the men? Like, yeah, you can.
Because the options are there.
If you're good enough, you can. You know,
Absolutely.
work hard and get up there. You know.
Yeah. Poopy was saying, right? He rides scooters to his G's.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Grandma.
So-
And bones turn into dust. Elaborate on that one, please. Bones turn into dust.
Why change? Because change is the only thing that makes society
If they're
better.
that good, if they're not, Phil says if they're that good, not just because.
Yeah, don't put them into the league just for like to appease people. Like put
No,
them
you should earn it. Yeah.
They have to-
yeah.
they have
there
to
should
be
be
at that
criteria. Exactly. They're getting better. When I was younger, there were no girls that could compete. Jim says, and then Jim says there's too many tiers. What we're saying, there's not enough tiers because there's not enough to balance out the differences that we have in this world for people.
Well, to please people, but honestly, it's like the psychology is a growing field, and so as we learn more, we need to adapt to what we know now. So I think, yeah,
I think to please people is not appropriate for this argument.
it's more than just make it
because pleasing people means you're supplicating. You're doing things that you don't want to do.
what we're trying to do is
I don't think that's relevant.
we're trying to make it fair for the athletes, right?
Yes.
For everyone involved in sports.
We're all earthlings and we all have a commonality. That's living on Earth. That's living amongst each other. So I think doing things that benefit humanity is great. It's not pleasing people. It's pleasing the humanity that you're involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And so by pleasing people, it's causing separation, and you're talking about supplication.
Yeah, I think even
That doesn't apply to
I think
something.
even if we weren't talking about transgender, I still like the idea of taking away the women and men's leagues and stuff and just putting it into tiers, because people don't, some people think it's unfair that women aren't allowed to compete with men, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
in some sports, and I think that you should be able to just put them together.
The problem with that, I think, is there's going to be moments where people... I've actually seen this. There's a guy named CM Punk that did some UFC fighting who was just not... He shouldn't have been in the ring.
Well, that's why you have to qualify to make sure you're at that level.
Yeah, and so I think when, let's just say a woman gets in there and she goes up against, just the hugest adversity, which is fighting dudes or something,
Yeah.
and she's just getting her ass kicked over and over and over. Some people don't learn, and I appreciate the drive and the ambition and all that, and the goal setting and all that. But there's got to be a point where you're realistic with yourself too. And so I think in a situation like that, where there's this girl getting her ass handed to and getting knocked out by dudes over and over and over again, there might have to be a conversation or something set up to prevent that from happening. It's like, okay, just for your sake, like this is not for you.
Well, even like something like the UFC should probably have different tiers as well, right?
Yeah.
The minor leagues of UFC, you know what I mean? Like, all right, you've lost 4 in a row. We're going to bump you down to the minors and see if you can start winning there before we bring you back. That's what they do in baseball. That's 100% what they do in baseball. You play in the majors, then if you start underperforming for too long a period of time, they put you back into the minors, see if they can get you back up to the majors and then bring you back. So
Jim was saying,
why does Danny look so much older than in the first? What is happening? Do I look that much older today?
You age that quick?
I guess, man. Fuck me, dude.
That's hilarious.
I don't know, but I'm 28, so
I think so Jim says, I think there are a lot of tiers now, minors and majors. They're good enough to be in the majors, major girl, boy, or otherwise. Okay. Philip, humanity has become soft. I agree, but that doesn't mean we don't have a commonality still. I don't know what that means. Did you want to elaborate on that statement a little bit more? Because I agree.
I don't think humanity's come soft. I think humanity has had a posturing problem its entire existence.
Yeah,
where they're
that too.
pretending to be harder than we really are,
Yeah.
and ignoring feelings and emotions, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Where nowadays
Absolutely.
we're being more open about it. I think that's what it really is. I don't
But
think it's become
is
soft.
being in tune with your emotions and all that considered soft? I think it is.
That's why some people, I guess.
By a lot of people, probably.
Yeah, but-
especially the narrow-minded, and especially
I think soft with a negative connotation. I think the word soft shouldn't have such a negative connotation to it. You know, what's wrong with being?
Yeah, exactly. Soft. Yeah, I would like you to elaborate on that actually, because that's what we're having these
That's
conversations.
like such a toxic thing, right? Like, oh, you're soft. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
so.
That's kind of a blanket statement too. What is a better word for that? Not even soft, just sensitive. Sensitive might be what he's trying to get at. But sensitive, even if he was to say sensitive instead, I agree. Like, I'm trying to think, is there a reason why I wouldn't think everybody has gotten more sensitive?
I think if
and is that a
anything,
good thing or a bad thing?
I think if anything, being more sensitive is probably a good thing for humanity because humanity is pretty hardcore and does some fucked up shit all the time. So I think, you know what I mean?
Me and you might disagree on this one a little bit, because I think being too sensitive.
Well, I'm not talking about being overly sensitive, but I think being in tune with your emotions is a good thing. I think there's a lot of stuff that happens in the world because people ignore their feelings. And
Having
shit.
emotions is great. I think you should be very in tune with your emotions. Being emotional, bad.
Not being able to handle your emotions.
Yes.
I think we're on the same page. You want to be in the middle ground.
Or not even that. Not being able to. I guess that would be tied in with being emotional. What I mean is just having constant emotions, changing all the time, and like, you know what I mean? Like you are controlled by your emotions, which is, I guess, also what you said. Yeah.
So I think we're kind of on the same page. You shouldn't have too little emotions or too much emotions. You should, be comfortable with having emotions, but don't let them control your.
Because if
fucking
you
life.
get too sensitive or soft, if that's what you want to call it, you're losing control. You're basically allowing people to own space in your head, in my opinion, because whatever they have done has provoked you, and you're letting those words have power, is what it is, and they're basically controlling you at that point. They're almost puppeteering you. And so I think there's a slippery slope there when you get too sensitive, especially with people that are putting their pressures on you and whatever it is, or calling you names or putting labels on you, whatever it is getting you to feel that way. That's when it's very detrimental to your progress mentally and anything you're trying to do in life, I think. So that's why I would say I agree with Philip when people are soft. I think he's saying sensitive also.
And talk about changing things to make people more comfortable is not a bad thing. It's like, we change things all the time to make people more comfortable. We change slavery to make black people more comfortable. You know what I mean? I'm sure people.
Okay, so he elaborated. Okay,
Yeah.
he said, let's change this and that to make them more comfortable.
Like this and that.
This goes back to what Jim was saying. It's not.
We should stop being so afraid of change.
It's not. Well, you can if you think it's supplicating. Absolutely, you shouldn't supplicate to anybody. So if you're tying that together, I can see how you're getting. You know what I mean? You think you're supplicating. You think you're bending over. You think you're doing something you don't want to do.
I think
what I'm encouraging is just understand we all have a commonality here.
I think
we all live on the same planet.
Yeah, a lot of people say we should strive for equality. I think what we should strive for is fairness, not equality, because as we know, not everyone's not equal. That's fucking impossible.
And to the best of our ability, because we know that
I think
there's a lot of unfairness. It just can't be controlled.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think we should be as fair as possible. We can't make everyone equal because no one's equal.
Everyone's circumstances are different.
Everyone's fucking different. So
yeah,
but I think we should give everyone the same opportunities as much as we can. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying do the tiers and let the women compete with the men if they're good enough. You know what I mean, or whatever. Like who cares? Because you know what I mean. That's just fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they're at that level, then let them compete with the other people that are at that level. You know?
Yeah.
So,
but Philip did say to each their own, live your own life. But the statement before that kind of is contradictory.
Right.
You know what I mean? You did say. Well, I don't know if you're saying that. Maybe he's posing. He did say humanity has become soft. So you made a direct statement that comes from your opinion. Then you elaborated and said, how can I explain this? Let's change this that make them more comfortable. So you think humanity has changed things to make them people more comfortable. So that's contradictory to you saying, to each their own, live your own life. You might be saying that, but when you say that, it's like, whatever, I'm not supplicating to them. That's their own bullshit. Do whatever you want. I'm not being part of it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be.
I think there is a middle ground, though. I understand what he's saying. I think what I'm thinking of is like kind of the I'm offended culture, fucking like poor me all the time, like the victim mentality all the time. I understand that, and then like people are like, okay, let's do what they want. You know what I mean? Instead of doing like a fairness. You know
Yeah, and to your point, Philip says it is why should I have to do something with my life because so and so is uncomfortable. Now, Danny made a good point about this earlier. He said they're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
It really is not forcing. You'd have to give me an example of how you have to change your life.
Yeah, especially because like you're a white dude, so what's gonna happen to you? Like you're playing baseball, and then all of a sudden a transgender person comes and plays baseball with you. Like nothing has happened. You're still in the same exact league doing the exact same thing,
and you still have the option to not participate. Like you have control over your own life. I mean, if you don't want to be a part of that, but. Uncomfortable. I mean, I don't really care about people's comfort level, to be honest. This has nothing to do with people's comfort level. Or to me, it's just providing options. Just providing the option so that it's there for everybody, and that the equality option is there, or the fairness option is there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Mr. Poopy said, do you think there will be a Virus Podcast merch store? Yes, there will, actually. There 100% will be. We haven't set it up yet because we only got some shirts now. But we should be setting up. Well, we should actually get into that. You're the first person that actually asked us that, so we haven't really been like rushing to do it.
Yeah, but we are going to do that because with our point tracking system, we need that little bundle set up. So absolutely. Mm-hmm. And if you have any suggestions on merch, give it to us. Any unique merch ideas? I would love that actually. So yeah, hook us up. But I love Phil. I like your interaction, man. I like you providing your mindset on this, even if we wouldn't agree with you, or anybody listening doesn't agree with you, or you don't agree with them. Like that's okay. We're just having conversations here. You know what I mean?
You're allowed to have different opinions. Me and Ben don't even agree on some shit. So
exactly, and that's why we have some good conversations. But the whole point is just be open-minded about some things and just grow mentally. I always encourage people to just entertain the ideas, just so you can grow mentally. And that doesn't mean come to terms with jumping into the ship and be like, okay, I agree with you. That just means entertain it, look into it a little bit, give it some thought, like, see if it's applicable. Just don't shut the door on it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think
live your life. So Jim says you have to be happy, live your life, not change necessary. Yeah. Well, the problem is we've already set up something that's not fair, so we have to change it to. Just so that everybody has the option, and they can't say nothing's fair. Like, dude, we have this in place to where, this is fair now. Like, it's up to you. That way the fair argument never even comes up.
Yeah, like this is fair. Like, it's 100% fair.
What we're talking about doing is eradicating the fair argument. Like, this is fair. Like, if you think something's not fair, it's in your own head now. You know what I mean? You have you've manifested this in your head.
Yeah, you still have the top league, which will probably be mostly men. You know what I mean? Just because, in most sports, they're strength-based, men on average will do better, like we said.
Yeah, because what Jim's saying, you have to be happy to live your life, no change. So you're saying deal with it, is what you're saying. I'm trying to paraphrase this. No change necessary, live your life, but the life that needs to be lived has to be according to what we've already established and is put in place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Humanity has to make changes.
Absolutely.
To make things more fair. I was bringing up slavery, and then the other thing I was going to bring up was like women's rights. Women's didn't even used to have rights. And like people that voted, the men were men, and there had to be men that were willing to change. You know what I mean? So
you can't create anything without changing it. Even something that's been established for shit. This is applies to business even. Like, in order for things to grow and mature and evolve, you need the change, or you're gonna be stuck. like I personally don't want to be stuck in systems that we have in place, whether it's regarding sports, or anything regarding transgenders like that. We didn't even get into the bathroom part of it.
Yeah.
We got time for this? I think we do.
We have like 5 minutes.
I think we do, because this isn't going to take up.
No.
So we could actually stretch this out. Let's get into the bathrooms part.
The transgender bathroom.
Yeah. And this is great because these are good. Exactly, Philip. I appreciate that, man. That you're having a good conversation too. Because, like I said, this is a sensitive topic here. This is a very sensitive subject, all right? And this is exactly why I like talking about it, because, I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're trying to have contagious combos and viral viewpoints, and, I mean, that's just what we're doing here.
All right. I addressed what my grandma said. Yep, deal with it. Teach their own. I mean, I do not have to change because you believe this or that. Change is good, but as long as I decide to. Here's the thing, though. We're changing it for them, not for you. Like, you don't have to change anything that you're doing. Like, what's going to happen to you if we change sports leagues? Nothing.
Yeah, and I can get on board with that too, Jim. If some change has been made that's
forcing you
negatively affecting you, then that conversation makes sense. Absolutely. That's kind of fucked up, in my opinion.
But nothing negative is going to happen.
But this doesn't affect you. And if it does, enlighten me. I have no idea how anything's...
If it does affect you, it's going to be neutral or positive. So...
Yeah.
Should be, you know what I mean? So.
If it negatively affects you, enlighten me, please.
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing it. I don't understand that. And there might be a negative effect that I'm not realizing here. So I would like you to...
Yeah, maybe.
Give me an example. Because, like I said, I might not even know. There's a lot of layers to this. And I would also agree that if something is going to negatively affect me, I wouldn't be so quick to want to change either. Who would? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they're on the same. They're like, yeah, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care. Yeah. And it wouldn't. You know what I mean?
And it wouldn't.
Even if you're like, for instance, if you're a Major League Baseball player and then they're like, okay, now we're going to let women and transgender try out, and if they're good enough, we're going to let them compete. It's not going to stop you from playing in the Major League. Yeah. You're still going to be there.
You don't have to participate in that. You don't even have to support it.
Yeah.
You don't.
You'd still be a Major League Baseball player, still making money, and so whatever.
Yeah.
At that point, it's because you're uncomfortable with those people, which that is an issue, so...
Goes back to projection. I would really encourage people to look deep inside themselves for things they're casting out, because almost everything that comes out of people's mouth is a projection, unless you're very aware of it, and then you're hip to that, and you're paying attention to what comes out of your mouth. Everything that's being constructed is not formed from that. You know
I think for boxing it could be an issue. And like if you're a man, all of a sudden they're like, no, we're gonna let women compete. You're like, I don't want to hit a woman though. You know what I mean? That could become an issue, and I could understand that being argued. But like there's like something.
Well, I think my setup would solve that. You only have women involved. What I would say is, I guess, limiting. So providing options, but limiting it. So meaning if we have male sports, female sports, male to woman transgender, woman to male transgender, and you can only compete in those. So a woman couldn't compete in a man's one.
Yeah. Might have to be a mixture of those two.
Or they have a
different
high criteria, and there might be some exceptions. You have to pass these things to cross genders or even.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to the transgender one, that's a tough one. I think there shouldn't be any, because it's too easy to be unfair. Right? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
No, that's what I was trying to say. Like a man, even if we'll drop the transgender things. If we're saying we'll let women compete if they're at the same skill level as the men, I'm saying in boxing, men might not want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might not want to go punch a woman in the face.
Absolutely. So, that's why I think.
But I don't think like for a sport like baseball, I don't think it fucking matters. You know what I mean? Because you're just throwing a baseball around and like batting and shit. So like,
I think some regulations are important for the reason I talked to you about, saying people just kind of are very, I don't know, driven and ambitious that they don't even, their health goes out the window. You know what I mean? Their safety, they don't care. Like they're going to do whatever it takes. Yeah. It's kind of like David Goggins running 100 miles on broken shin splints for the last 30 miles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't care. Most people would have been like, you're fucking crazy. And like medically, you shouldn't be doing that. I think there needs to be some systems in place to prevent stuff like that. And what I'm saying is you might have to put a limit on that. You're providing options, but you're limiting it as well.
Yeah, exactly. There needs to be regulations. Phil was saying, like, wearing a seatbelt back in the day was okay not to. Why am I forced to wear one now? Because it's law. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Honestly, sometimes laws like that are for the health of people. You know what I mean? Like that's a good law.
That's a slippery slope too. I see what you're saying.
You're talking about your freedoms, but at the same time, the death rates from car wrecks has gone down since they enacted that law. So I mean, it was an overall net benefit, even if it, didn't, infringe upon your freedom. You know what I mean? A little bit. It's not the end of the world for you to put on a seatbelt.
You know what I think is I think it only went.
I know this is just an example too.
That statement is only even relevant because of the fact that seatbelts have evolved. If cars were made with seatbelts that automatically come on you, no matter, you don't have a choice. If they were invented that way, this statement wouldn't even be existence. It would be a normal thing to you. It would be like, oh, cars have seatbelts. That's just a no-brainer. Like I don't have an option. It automatically just comes over me, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the worst that's going to happen is you're going to get a ticket.
But now that someone has given you
legally,
exactly. Now that somebody has given you the option initially and then taken it away, now it's like, wait a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would say that's more of an entitlement thing, a personal entitlement thing.
You can not wear a seatbelt, you might get a ticket, but that's the worst thing that's going to happen to you legally. What's the worst thing that could happen to you? You could die. When you could have lived, you know what I mean? So
I understand, like, being able to have your own, you should be able to do whatever you want. I get it. But really, you're only having that conversation because it was given to you and then taken away. When really, it should have always been in place, in my opinion. There shouldn't even be that option because it only makes sense. There's only good that comes out of it, like you said. There's no bad thing, like I said about accountability. Having accountability is only good. You know what I mean? There's no bad connotation with this, so. But I understand what Phil's saying, and it's only happened, in my opinion, because it was played with. You know what I mean?
So bathrooms.
Back to bathrooms. Yes. Okay, let me go with what do I think about bathrooms? Same thing. It's with sports. This is easy.
You think having transgender bathrooms?
Yeah, should have 4 bathrooms in every location. Male, female, male to female, female to male. And
a lot of places now have like gender neutral bathrooms or whatever. Like anyone can use this bathroom, you know what I mean? They still have male and female, and then they just have one extra bathroom. It's like whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that might be uncomfortable with some people, though. I mean, like, but I don't know what it's like in the transgender world.
But you don't have to go into that one. You can go into one of the other two. You know? What I mean?
I see what you're saying.
There's 3 different bathrooms.
I see what you're saying. So that's just as good.
It's not called a transgender bathroom. It's called it's a whatever bathroom. You know what I mean? You could be whatever you want in this bathroom. You know what I mean? And the other ones are like male and female. So like,
great example.
It's just an
labels.
Option.
What would you call it?
Yeah.
To not offend. Because we need labels.
I think they called it a gender neutral bathroom.
Okay.
So it's neutral. You know what I mean? It's in the fucking
there's no
name.
Offense to that.
It's literally in the name. So
there is no offense to that.
This is welcome to all genders, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
And then they have the segregated bathrooms for the people that want the segregated bathrooms still, you know what I mean? So I think that kind of does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh damn, Philip says he's dealing with high maintenance kids, so he missed the combo. That's too bad, because I was definitely talking to you about your seatbelt statement.
My grandpa said it should not matter as long as they have doors. True. Like, why does it even matter? It's just a bathroom.
For pedophiles and like you gotta go to safety reasons now.
Yeah, I mean, but for pedophiles, that can happen in a regular bathroom anyway.
That's true, but when those type of people are opportunists, and so when you make things easy for them, bad things happen.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
They're gonna find a way if they really want to. Anyways,
they're gonna absolutely, but let's not make it easy for them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean,
we can do some part to make it.
You're talking about like straight pedophiles, but I mean, there's still gay pedophiles. You know what I mean? You could
any type of
because a guy could go into a bathroom and then
But a man can't walk in a woman's bathroom right now.
Yeah.
And so if we change that, I could see there being problems. Personally. Maybe I'm completely fucking wrong.
Theoretically, but I don't think because you're thinking of like men, right? But like a transgender woman, even though their sex is a man, doesn't really act like a man. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we're gonna get that same kind of issue.
I was just thinking about men and women in general, because he's talking about, if I understood that right, Jim said it should not matter as long as they have doors. What is the specific?
We're talking about public bathrooms where there's multiple stalls and shit, right? We're not talking about single bathrooms. That doesn't matter.
I might have misunderstood him. I thought what he was saying was it doesn't matter what bathroom there are for anybody. If there was a door, anybody could use it. That's what I took out of that. And so that is, I think that's problematic.
No, I'm saying there's 3 options.
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I might have misunderstood that, but I think exactly. Philip was talking about safety, but I think just for safety reasons, just to be, because I take my daughter into, I have to take my daughter into the men's bathroom because I can't go into the woman's, obviously, and so it's already uncomfortable just in that setting, and I'm with her. You know what I mean? In this case, change is good. Okay. Selective change for you, right? Close the door to have privacy. Okay. Yeah.
Either that, or they could like put, this is slippery slope, but put cameras in the bathroom, but just not in the parts where you can see inappropriate things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You could already see that being a lawsuit, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Like, I had my pants down when I came out of the stall, and fucking the camera caught a shot of my schlong, and whatever.
To be honest, that's your own fucking problem, because
put your pants up before you come out of the stall.
You know there's a fucking camera. That's like the same thing as if you walked out of the bathroom with your pants down.
Maybe you could have, to be honest, I kind of like that idea. Maybe to get around that, you just have signs all over the place on the inside of the doors. You on camera as soon as you exit the stall, type stuff. Mm-hmm. That way you're getting out of the lawsuit type shit.
Yeah, we're not trying to look at your genitals, but we're trying to make sure it's safe in here.
Philip said no way. But Philip, why would that bother you?
You're being filmed all the time anyways. What happens? So they're going to film your back while you're taking a piss? Like, who cares?
Because I would argue that this goes back to the safety aspect.
That's why I was addressing it. I was like, this is a safety thing.
Bad things happen in the bathroom.
There has to be regulations where the cameras can't be, taking inappropriate footage of you, but
I'm actually on board with that. It's crazy. I never thought I would be, but to think about it, obviously I'm not on board with people video cameraing your genitals or naked body parts or anything like that.
What happens if you cannot read?
Braille? Like, I see. Like, you just can't read in general. Have an audio. If you can't hear, Braille. Have Braille and an audio. We got solutions for all this, man.
There's plenty of,
So have Braille and an audio. You just push a button that talks about it. You are on camera as soon as you leave this stall.
Also, it's like over 99% of the population can read, so that's such a weird...
I would like to know why Philip is bothered by that, though. Why do you say no way so harsh? Because I don't see a bad thing. I'm trying to think, like, what would be bad about that?
The only thing that's bad about it is the urinals, I guess.
Yeah. But
you can have stall urinals, because they make those, you know what I mean? Where they have the littler stalls that have urinals in them, you know what I mean?
And that's where I was going next. These bathrooms can be revised to accommodate the camera aspect that we're talking about.
Philip said, so it's okay we were being recorded, videoed everywhere. Yeah, it is actually, because it's accountability. You can't commit crimes as easily. That's why...
I'm okay with that.
That's why the UK has less crimes, because they have fucking video everywhere.
Which is also scientifically proven. We'll go back, because I heard that statement being made by Jim. So that is also a scientifically proven fact that the UK is substantially less.
Grandpa said some people only know Spanish. Rosa's learning English. Well, here's the thing: we know that
multiple languages.
We know that Spanish is like it will still be written in Spanish. There's tons of signs all over America that are written in Spanish.
We have the technology, and we have a solution. So have an audio with multiple languages, right?
You know what you could do? You could have the little screen that says "Smile, you're on camera" and shows their back. The video recording the back of them. That way you know not to turn around with your dick out to the camera.
I think a lot of people would even be bothered by that. So that's what I was saying. I think
that would actually be more...
You can have the camera have the camera above the stalls facing to the area where the hand washing stations are at and all that, so it's not catching anybody in the stall.
I was thinking like above the sinks, kind of facing diagonally towards the ground, you know what I mean? So it's kind of showing that the general area, but it's not showing into the stalls. and it's not showing.
So you already know people will fuck with this. You already know people know they're on camera. They're gonna be like, "Hey," start swinging their dick around or something, just messing with people.
But, I mean, people.
Imagine the people that are reviewing these. Here we go again, Jim. Check this out. This guy.
Okay, but like.
Here he is again.
Okay, but like,
which is funny to me.
you could totally just do that on
Anywhere.
a regular
exactly.
camera.
It's just
so.
funny to me. It's not a reason to not do it. It's funny. I'm just putting that in context.
Yeah, Grandpa, what we're talking about is the safety of the bathroom, not inside the stall, inside the main part of the bathroom, right?
Yeah, we're talking about video cameraing the sink area.
The sink area?
Not even having the stalls in frame at all. Okay?
That's the private quarters, you know what I mean? So have the stalls not camera, but the main part where you're walking in and out of the bathroom and the sink area, have that on camera.
And I understand.
Yeah, we're talking about privacy, though.
We are talking about privacy. Washing your hands is... I mean, let's just point out the obvious. You have no privacy. You really, short of what you have at your house, once you go out into the world, you have no privacy. So I think we've all come to
there's
terms.
a good solution. I think the sink could be outside the bathroom.
There you go. Now you're using the problem solving part of your brain,
Hell
Jim.
yeah, dude. See, I'm down with that too.
That's a great idea.
You could even, just outside the bathrooms. Anyone can go wash their hands at any time. We should probably have that anyway, so people can wash their fucking hands in public.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That's a great idea, actually. That's a solution for this. Because I'd like to know. I understand that Philip's like, we're crazy. Jim's like, he's not on board, but I would like to know what specifically you would have a problem with having the cameras filming the sink area and not having the stalls, in the frame. What is the specific problem for you personally with that?
Yeah, no one's watching you poop. No one wants to watch you poop, probably, so.
Yeah, because I'm not understanding that part. And again, it's just something I'm just thinking of now, like, oh wow, that is a great idea, actually. So
the sink's
the cameras in the bath, just the whole thought in general.
Right,
Yeah.
There's a way to figure it out, obviously.
Yeah, copyright it, Jim. Patent that shit.
Yeah.
It's your idea, man. Your secret's safe with us.
Buy the jet.
If you don't act on this in a year, I'm taking your idea.
Okay, but Phil, you don't like being videotaped anywhere is okay. But think about this scenario. If your kid ever gets kidnapped inside of a store, we have the person on camera.
Yes, exactly. This is a safety. This goes back to safety.
And that's the only reason I brought up the video cameras is because you brought up safety, or someone brought up safety, so I was like...
I'm going to use a hypothetical scenario, Phil, to his point. Let's say you were in the bathroom with your child. There's a camera that's filming the sink area. You're out. I'm just using a hypothetical scenario, obviously. You're washing your hands or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta go again or something. Let's just say you weren't done pooping. You thought you were done. You gotta go again. So you run into the stall and your boy's out there washing his hands still, or girl, or your child. Next thing you know, some guy comes in and snatches your kid, and you're in there taking a shit. You can't get off the toilet. They end up catching the guy because of that camera. Would that change your thoughts on this idea? I understand this is a hypothetical scenario, but this is something that's this could happen. This does happen.
It definitely happens.
So this is not that far-fetched of a scenario. I would like to know what your thoughts were, though. If that happened to you, would your stance change? Does your stance change now that I've made that scenario? Like, I'm curious. Because that's what we're doing here. We're provoking thoughts.
Yeah. So we only have like 10 minutes left.
Jim's like, go ahead, take my idea. Nah, man, let's work together. Let's build it together.
We only have like 10 minutes left. We have to do the rant still.
Okay, let's. We only got 10 minutes, so that was a very good conversation, though, guys. I really appreciate that.
I'd like it too. And it was really what we wanted it to be. We wanted it to be more of a talking point, the viral viewpoint. So. Yeah,
and so this is exactly what we're talking about, having conversations like this, getting deep into these thoughts and solutions, and like what would be a good answer, okay, we got to address this. Phil says, I get what you're saying, but that would never be able to happen. That is a very naive statement to make, Philip, even for someone as smart as you. That happens every day. that I wouldn't. I mean, whether it's a bathroom or
Are you saying that,
him taking a shit, like what specifically wouldn't happen? Your kid wouldn't get taken, or
the camera
would have to take a second shit, or
the cameras wouldn't be installed there, or like that could be what you're saying? I don't even.
because that scenario could very well happen. I mean, it's not that far fetched. It really is not. We've heard of more far fetched scenarios that have happened. It's like, wow, that really happened.
It doesn't take much to snatch a kid.
No, I mean, I'm very protective of Emily and I. That's why I know it could just happen like that. It only takes once, and then your kid's gone.
I don't even know.
They're sex trafficked, whatever. They're murdered.
What are the numbers? The numbers are crazy. It's like so many kids get kidnapped every year.
I've watched enough documentaries to know that, I mean, there's a whole market out there for stealing children. There's a whole dark web market of this shit. I've watched this. In our own town of Seattle, I watched some specific cases of girls that have been taken at a young age. They're sold for sex over and over and over on the market, and then they're drugged up, and then the parents even know where they are and they can find them, and at that point the kid's so fucked up in the head, they're in it. They're like, I don't even know if I want to leave. Like, and they're drugged up. Like, that's sad, man.
That's fucking
I've seen
crazy.
plenty of documentaries like that. This is a real thing. He would have had the grandpa watch the kid. Oh, okay. You never know, man. There's plenty of times where I'm shot. I mean, shit, just a couple weeks ago, I was in Fred Meyer checking out, and Malia's like, I gotta go bathroom. I was like, right now? I mean, I had food and shit on the conveyor belt. I was like, right now. You can't hold it for a couple minutes? She's like, no. And I was like, shit. I was like, can you just ring this up? I'll come back, man. And I just stopped what I was doing to take her to the bathroom.
I don't know, man. Some kids, too, there's been plenty of times where I'm like shopping with my daughter, you know what I mean? And like looking at something, you know, like looking at a box, and I look over and fucking my daughter's like 20 feet away. I'm like, get the fuck over here.
Yeah, that
what
freaks me out. Absolutely. I'm like, hey, you stay by me. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm
They
very
could easily
protective.
get snatched right then, you know what I mean?
This shit scares me. Like, I do not want that to happen to my child. But yeah, I just painting some pictures.
We gotta get to the rant though.
Let's get to the rant. All right. I got a lot of rants, but we're gonna talk about this one. The banks. Every time I go to the bank, I have to go a couple times too. So first of all, my mobile deposit, the only time I have to go in the bank usually is because my mobile depositing is maxed out, which is a good thing that happens. But I've maxed out every single month last 3 times. I think it's like 50,000 or something like that. I've maxed out every month. And then when that happens, you got to go in physically and deposit the checks. And so they're packed every time. There hasn't been one time I went into the bank and they don't have fucking 10 people in the line going outside the door.
What time are you going?
At both times. I went at like 11 the other day, which is kind of early. They only open at 10 or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon, you know what I mean? They're only open from like 10 to 4.
Oh, okay.
So there's only a 6-hour window, and people know that, and they're all just rushing in there. Jim's like, get a different bank. I'm thinking of that because now I have a bigger problem that I'm really irritated about. That's going to be my next week's rant, actually. People hacking into my card and having to switch your card, and oh my god,
That shit's so annoying.
There's layers to this, actually. Yeah, long story short, someone hacked into my card and tried to buy $700 worth of groceries at Walmart. And so I'll get into that next rant. But the banks, okay, I got 2 things to rant about with the banks. First of all, the bank, very packed and very slow moving, and
Very inefficient.
everybody's very inefficient. Everybody's consuming right now, so everybody's going to the bank and getting money or whatever. I don't even know if it's important or what. Yes, it's a really sad time for baking. But my other aspect of this is regarding my business and banks. Like, I really put this in perspective. I'm like, I'm really just a banker for the government. I collect money from the homeowners. I divvy up my profit. I pay my Department of Revenue their chunk, and I have to fill that out and do a bunch of paperwork and do their work for them. And then I pay the IRS their chunk. So I'm a bank teller. I'm controlling the money. I'm allocating it everywhere. I should have been a fucking banker. Like, I'm a banker at this point for the government. They're like, do my work for me, give me the money. Like, it'd be nice to just not have to do paperwork or some kind of system where we're doing less because we're actually providing jobs for people and we're actually giving the money to the government. You know what I mean? We're doing more for the government than they're doing for us.
I was gonna say it would be worth it if the government was actually had the interest of the people.
Yeah, but they don't, and that's why it's set up
it's
this
even
way.
worse.
They're like, yeah, be my banker. That's why they love businesses. Not only do they have to, not only are they getting more money, but you're doing all the hard work for them.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
That's not true, Grandpa. I am busy. I'm just not as busy as Ben, but Ben's a fucking psycho, so...
It's really... Where are we talking about?
He said, hire Danny to do the work. He is not busy. I'm just less busy than Ben. But like I said, Ben's a fucking psycho, so...
Yeah. Well, you remember I talked to you about putting labels on me. You're separating yourself.
Oh,
you're capable of being a psycho, too. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm just making a joke.
You're just making a decision, too, though. I don't want you to think that I'm a... fucking superhero or something. I'm doing something that you can't do or anybody can do.
Yeah, I'm more just making a joke about it.
Yeah, okay.
How hard you work, but yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, I do things. I do have more free time than Ben, but that's also because Ben chooses to have less free time.
You have things you put your passion and time into that are specific to your life right now.
Yeah.
And you're also younger than me.
Yeah.
I mean, that plays a huge factor.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
And to be honest, I really do value my free time, even if it does make me look lazy. I enjoy my downtime.
You have a different life setup. Your agenda in life is different than mine.
It's important.
It might change in 9 years.
Yeah, exactly. But right now, like, my free time is important to my mental health, man. I can't just be doing things all the time. It stresses me out too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's exhausting. And, you know, obviously you're exhausted all the time, but... I mean, you're still making that choice, you know.
I made that choice, exactly. I mean, sometimes it's tough. Like last night, I'm working fucking 16-hour days and shit.
Yikes.
I gotta do a little bit of work tonight too. After working, you know, all day today in the fucking sun. So it's something. It's a life I chose because I'm just hungry and ambitious and I'm driven.
Oh, I'm fine. I was just wanted. You know what? Maybe I'm not fine. Everyone just calls me lazy all the time, and I'm right, but that doesn't make it nice, you know.
No one really called you lazy until you owned it.
Yeah.
Now that you own it, like, all right, you got it, man. Own that shit. There's nothing. I mean,
I'm just kidding.
What's worse is someone that's like, I'm not lazy. You know what I mean? Like, I actually respect anybody who owns their shit. So whether it's kind of like when I was in. I was talking about my was it a anger management class?
Right.
My first day of anger management. The guy talked about how he punched his pregnant wife in the stomach.
Oh my god,
right?
That story again.
What's crazy is I fucking respected that, which is, it might sound fucking crazy to you guys. Like, he had already graduated. Like, he already been in this class, so he had already he's not in that place anymore from what I gathered, but. The fact that he said that, and I was like, holy shit, I actually respect the fact that he just said that.
All right.
Is crazy and relative.
All right, Philip said, get it tattooed, tramp stamp. There you go. Okay, 1,000,000 points. Anyone gets 1,000,000 points and pays for that, I'll get a tramp stamp that says lazy.
That means you gotta really be committed to this podcast for 1,000,000 points.
1,000,000 points?
That's gonna take a few years.
I'm not even gonna allow that many points to happen.
Oh man. But yeah, that's
we're gonna have to purge those points. Like, hey, we're gonna need those points from you. Sorry. We're seeing you're at like 950,000.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
There's an error in the system. Actually. Oh, I forgot to tell you, there's taxes. You need to pay your taxes. The IRS is coming for you. Right?
Taxes has gone up. I mean, yeah, the cost of living's gone up. So yeah, point system's also gone up. Oh man.
Well, all right, we're like out of time.
So that was our rant for the banks. I'm sure you guys can relate a little bit to me on that. So let's go to the plugs. Give him Ben. What is he talking about?
Give me Ben. I don't know.
What's that?
Points.
Oh, the points.
Well, that reminds me.
Well, you can start today by tallying up how many times Danny dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah. How many times have I said fuck, including that fuck and that fuck and that fuck? In this podcast. Was that fucking confusing? All right, anyways, if you can tell me
they got to stick out to the end now.
If you can tell me the right amount of times I said fuck in this podcast, it's worth 1,000 points. You have until next Wednesday to give it.
There you go, guys, and that's the start of our first point system. We're going to keep track of it, and first person to 10,000 is going to get the first bundle, so we'll keep that rolling. Let's give them the plugs again.
Yeah,
really quick.
Yeah, you can check us out on Apple and Spotify for streaming or our podcast platforms. And then for streaming, you can find us on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And then you can get our updates on Instagram and Twitter.
There you have it, guys. We're also going to keep a leaderboard on the tally, so you guys can have a little competition there.
Yeah,
see who's winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make probably another little widget for that too, like a little leaderboard, so people can look at the leaderboard and stuff. So
sweet, that's exciting, man. I like that. I like what we got going on here. So we'll have another little cool game for you guys on Saturday. Let's see we can come up with and have fun with it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But this has been a great podcast. I love the conversations we're having. We had a couple. We had. The transgender topic, which is really a sensitive topic. So I appreciate your guys' open-mindedness and your contribution to the conversation as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Even if we agree to disagree, I love that. I still love it. We're looking forward to Saturday, and then next Wednesday we're gonna have a guest again. So stay tuned, stay with us, and just keep supporting it and keeping this momentum going with us. So until then, we'll see you on Saturday, and keep it